Yo, listen up. Camron just dropped a revelation that's shaking the entire rap world. For years, fans have wondered why he never hit the same millions as Jay-Z and 50 Cent, and now, the truth is finally out, and it's shocking. Behind the glitz, the fame, and the billion-dollar deals, there's a story of missed opportunities, inside moves, and the kind of decisions that separate legends from almost legends. Camron isn't holding back, he's spilling it all. What went wrong, who made the moves, and why he ended up watching from the sidelines while others stacked cash in ways he could have. This isn't just another interview. This is the raw, unfiltered truth. The streets, the fans, the blogs, everyone is buzzing because Camron's account reveals something that's been hidden for years. The money, the fame, the power plays, it's all laid bare. Who made the calls? Who got the deals? And why didn't Camron get in on the action? You're about to find out. So buckle up, because this story isn't just shocking, it's eye-opening. Every fan, every hater, every rap enthusiast, this is for you. The insider secrets, the missed chances, the what could have been moments, they all come together in a story that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about the rap game. Stay tuned, because Camron is about to reveal it all, and trust me, you don't want to miss a second of this. Camron sat back in his studio chair, a mix of frustration and reflection etched across his face. He had watched from the sidelines for years as Jay-Z and 50 Cent made moves that turned their names into global empires. The glimmering success, the millions in revenue, the deals, the movies, the endorsements, all of it seemed just out of reach for him. And now, finally, he was ready to open up about why. It wasn't a lack of talent. Camron's skills on the mic, his charisma, his connections in Harlem and beyond, those were never in question. The streets respected him, and the industry acknowledged his influence. But timing, strategy, and a few pivotal decisions had cost him. He reflected on the early 2000s, when labels were closing multi-million-dollar deals, and hip-hop moguls were solidifying their legacies. Camron had opportunities, deals on the table, collaborations that could have skyrocketed his income, but he hesitated. The hesitation, he realized, wasn't about fear but about principle. He wanted control over his artistry, his image, and his music, and that often clashed with the business-first approach that Jay-Z and 50 Cent embraced. He remembered one specific deal that still stung. An opportunity for a major partnership, with potential for millions, was right within reach. It required signing off on terms that he wasn't comfortable with, terms that would compromise his creative freedom. Jay-Z and 50 Cent? They didn't hesitate. They struck fast, closed the deals, and secured their empires. Camron respected them for it, but the realization that he had let it slip by gnawed at him. Beyond the missed financial gains, there was the perception game. In hip-hop, perception is currency. While Jay-Z projected the image of a businessman who understood the rules of both the street and the boardroom, 50 Cent portrayed the image of a savvy hustler who could turn controversy into cash. Camron, on the other hand, had always prioritized his artistry, his storytelling, and his Harlem roots. That authenticity resonated with fans, but it sometimes meant he missed opportunities that required compromise or strategic alliances. It wasn't just business decisions either. There were personal dynamics and industry politics at play. Camron reflected on moments when he could have leveraged alliances, stepped into certain rooms, or signed on with the right partners. But ego, loyalty, and a commitment to doing things his way often got in the way. The industry is ruthless, and waiting too long can mean missing the wave entirely. Watching others ride it while he stayed true to his principles was a lesson in both humility and frustration. He also thought about timing. In the world of hip-hop moguls, being in the right place at the right time is everything. Jay-Z and 50 Cent mastered this. They understood trends, marketing, and the power of narrative. Camron knew the value of narrative too, but his focus was often on the music itself, rather than the story that could be sold alongside it. It was a subtle but impactful difference, one that cost him millions in potential earnings and exposure. Yet, despite the missed opportunities, Camron didn't regret everything. The respect he had from fans, the cultural impact of his music, and his influence over a generation of artists, those things couldn't be bought or sold. But the sting of seeing others make the money while he observed remained. It was a reminder that success in hip-hop isn't just about talent. It's about timing, strategy, risk, and sometimes sacrificing personal ideals for financial gain. In interviews, Camron had always been candid about his philosophy. Art first, money second. But the reality of the industry sometimes clashes with ideals. He had watched peers, friends, and competitors navigate the complex maze of contracts, partnerships, and branding. Some did it flawlessly, others stumbled. Camron realized that his path had been different, honorable in some ways, costly in others. Now, reflecting on the years gone by, Camron wanted the world to understand the full picture. Not as a lamentation, but as a lesson. A lesson in making choices, understanding the stakes, and recognizing that even the most talented artists can miss the train if they hesitate. The story wasn't just about him losing money. It was about the sacrifices, the principles, and the navigation required to survive and thrive in an industry as ruthless as hip-hop. As the story unfolded, it became clear Camron's truth wasn't bitter. It was enlightening. It was a perspective rarely shared in public, a peek behind the curtain of the rap business. And while Jay-Z and 50 Cent had solidified their fortunes, Camron's insights offered something different: the human side of decisions, the principles, and the cost of staying true to oneself while watching the game change around you. As Camron continued to reflect, he realized that missing out on those millions wasn't just a financial loss, it was a lesson in understanding the game itself. The hip-hop industry thrived on timing, alliances, and strategic moves, and watching Jay-Z and 50 Cent maneuver so skillfully was both inspiring and frustrating. Camron knew he had the talent, the audience, and the reputation, but sometimes talent alone isn't enough to secure the empire you deserve. He thought back to the pivotal moments when he could have collaborated differently or aligned with the right power players. These weren't just business moves, they were shifts that could have altered the trajectory of his career entirely. The moments that haunted him most were the ones where hesitation or principle kept him from sealing deals. Camron had always believed that staying authentic and true to his vision was more important than chasing money, but in the grand scheme, he began to see how balance was key. The story wasn't just about Jay-Z or 50 Cent either. It was about the larger system that rewarded boldness, risk-taking, and sometimes calculated compromise. Camron had witnessed countless artists fall or rise based on how they played the business side. It was a chess game, and each move had long-term consequences. He understood now that staying on the sidelines, even for noble reasons, could cost you opportunities that might never return. But there were also moments of pride. Camron had created a legacy that money couldn't define. His influence in Harlem, the respect from fans, and the culture he helped shape were intangible yet powerful. Even without the massive financial gains, his name carried weight. Artists looked up to him, fans revered his style, and the streets never forgot his contributions. Yet, deep down, he couldn't help but wonder how different things might have been if he had made certain strategic moves earlier. He reflected on the lessons learned from watching his peers. Jay-Z's meticulous approach to business, his ability to pivot, and his vision for growth had created a blueprint that others could follow. 50 Cent's fearless approach to publicity, controversy, and monetization had secured him not just money, but cultural dominance. Camron admired both strategies, but also realized that the cost of achieving that level of success often required compromises he wasn't willing to make at the time. Financially, the gap between him and the moguls he respected was enormous, but Camron began to see that his story offered a different kind of wealth, knowledge, experience, and credibility. These intangible assets were invaluable, and he knew they would continue to open doors, even if the millions didn't come immediately. The industry respected him not only for his skill but for his integrity, his consistency, and his ability to stay true to himself in a world that often rewarded the opposite. At the same time, Camron realized that opportunities were still available. He just needed to adjust his approach. The industry was evolving, and with new platforms, social media, and streaming, there were fresh ways to monetize influence and reach audiences directly. While he had missed certain deals in the past, the game wasn't over. Every decision now carried weight, and Camron was ready to navigate it with both wisdom and strategy. He also reflected on the personal toll of watching others succeed where he hadn't. There was envy, yes, but also motivation. Seeing Jay-Z and 50 Cent thrive pushed him to rethink his approach without compromising his principles. He began mapping out plans, considering collaborations, endorsements, and creative projects that could generate both revenue and cultural impact. It was a delicate balance, pursuing wealth without losing authenticity, ambition without sacrificing integrity. The story was deeper than just money. It was about understanding leverage, timing, and perception. Camron realized that each interaction, each handshake, and each decision carried meaning. The world of hip-hop moguls was complex, often ruthless, and unforgiving. One wrong step could close doors forever, while a smart move could redefine your legacy. Camron had learned to navigate that world carefully, with respect, intelligence, and patience. Yet, despite all the lessons, he couldn't ignore the moments of regret. The deals that slipped by, the missed collaborations, the partnerships that went to others, they lingered in his mind. But Camron also knew that dwelling on the past wouldn't change anything. The key was action, vision, and understanding the landscape better than before. His story wasn't one of failure, but of insight, a blueprint for anyone looking to balance artistry, authenticity, and financial success in a challenging industry. Camron's reflections also highlighted the human side of the rap industry. Behind the headlines, the millions, and the accolades, there were decisions, sacrifices, and pressures that outsiders rarely understood. Artists weren't just performers, they were entrepreneurs, strategists, and negotiators. Understanding the stakes, the timing, and the consequences was as crucial as the music itself. By the end of his reflection, Camron had a renewed sense of purpose. He knew what he had lost, but he also knew what he still had: respect, influence, and a legacy that couldn't be bought. And now, armed with experience and insight, he was ready to make the moves that mattered: smart, strategic, and uncompromisingly authentic. The story of lost millions was no longer a burden. It was a guide, a lesson, and a motivation for the next chapter of his career. Perfect. A wise, Chelo Mai Iska Final Part 3. 1200 words ready Kardahan, Jahan Part 2 Chota the story KO climax or closure takla JA Raha Hai, fully narrative style, rap drama tone, or YouTube friendly. Camron now felt a renewed sense of clarity. The lessons of the past had sharpened his vision, and he understood that true power wasn't just in the money he missed, but in the influence he still held. Harlem had always been his foundation, and every fan, every artist who looked up to him, reminded him of the legacy he had built. It was more than albums or deals, it was culture, respect, and impact that would outlast any dollar sign. He reflected on the missed collaborations with Jay-Z and 50 Cent. While those millions might have eluded him, the experience he gained observing them was priceless. He had studied their moves, their negotiations, their media strategies, and he now had a blueprint of how to navigate future opportunities. Camron understood that timing was everything. Sometimes doors close not because of failure, but because the universe is preparing you for bigger stages. With the rise of new digital platforms, streaming, and social media influence, Camron recognized that the game had shifted. There were opportunities that hadn't existed during his early career, collaborations with emerging artists, brand deals, and online campaigns that could create instant revenue streams. He began mapping out a plan to leverage his reputation, connect with a new generation, and secure deals that honored his authenticity while building wealth. But it wasn't just about money anymore. Camron realized that mentorship and shaping the culture were equally valuable. He could guide upcoming artists, showing them both the pitfalls and the strategies needed to survive and thrive in the industry. His lessons were born from real experiences, missed deals, smart moves, and understanding that not all victories were immediate. Some required patience, foresight, and timing. As he sat in reflection, Camron also thought about the perception of fans and peers. People often saw only the headlines, the missed millions, the rivalries, the media narratives. What they didn't see was the grit, the strategic thinking, and the resilience required to maintain relevance in a constantly evolving industry. Camron had learned that maintaining influence was sometimes more powerful than accumulating wealth. Then came the idea that sparked a fire within him: collaboration. Not just with peers, but with fresh talent who were hungry, creative, and connected to the new wave of hip-hop. He envisioned joint projects, brand partnerships, and community-driven events that would reinforce his presence while creating new revenue streams. By combining his legacy with the energy of the next generation, Camron realized he could craft something unprecedented, a bridge between old-school influence and modern-day innovation. He also reflected on the business side, the contracts, the negotiations, and the leverage. Camron knew that every interaction mattered. One misstep could cost millions, but a strategic partnership could multiply his influence exponentially. He was determined to approach every opportunity with the same intensity and intelligence he had seen in Jay-Z and 50 Cent, but without sacrificing his principles. Camron's journey became a story of resilience, adaptability, and vision. He realized that while he had missed opportunities in the past, he was equipped to create new ones. The lesson wasn't about envy or regret, it was about foresight and preparation. The industry rewarded boldness, but also strategy, and Camron was ready to play that game on his terms. By the end of his reflection, Camron's plan was clear. He would leverage his legacy, mentor emerging artists, and seize opportunities that aligned with his vision. Money, fame, and deals were important, but influence, respect, and authenticity were irreplaceable. He had learned that real success in hip-hop wasn't just about immediate gains, it was about building a story, leaving a mark, and ensuring that your name carried weight for generations. Camron smiled, knowing that the next chapter would be his most strategic yet. He wasn't chasing the past, he was shaping the future. Every decision, every move, and every collaboration would be calculated, authentic, and purposeful. And while the millions missed before might sting in memory, the empire he could build now was limitless. The story of lost opportunities was no longer a regret, it was the foundation for a legacy that was stronger, smarter, and unstoppable. Camron was ready. Harlem had shaped him, the industry had tested him, and now, the game was his to command. Yo, listen up fam. If you thought Camron's journey was wild so far, you ain't seen nothing yet. From missed millions to mastering the game, this story shows the real lessons behind hip-hop, hustle, and influence. Now it's your turn to be part of the conversation. Smash that like button if you're vibing with Camron's grind and respect the wisdom he's dropping. But don't stop there. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because we've got more exclusive deep dives, shocking exposés, and behind-the-scenes drama coming every week. From the biggest names in rap to the hottest beefs and secret deals, you won't want to miss a single second. Every video is packed with insider insight, so being subscribed means you stay ahead of the game. And fam, we want you to engage. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Was Camron right to play the long game? Could he have done things differently? Who else in hip-hop deserves this kind of spotlight next? Your opinion might even get featured in our next video. Share this video with your crew. Let them see the real story behind the headlines and learn from the moves Camron made. The streets of Harlem taught him the game, but this channel teaches you the secrets, the drama, and the strategies. So, do it now, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Don't miss the next part of this saga. The story of Camron is just getting started, and trust me, you'll want a front row seat for every twist and turn.